All right, let's talk some Baker Mayfield, and I think I'm going to defend him a little bit here because, Mayfield has had his struggles this season. There's no denying it. Maybe with Baker Mayfield, he's in every other year, he's going to be a good quarterback, so next year he'll be good again because, good rookie season, horrible second season, good third season, and now it's not like he's been horrible, but he's had some really bad games, some solid ones as well, but this was not a great game for the Browns offense. I don't put much of the blame on him. I really don't. I thought that there was a lot of things to talk about, including good defense from Baltimore. Like, we always are so quick to blame the quarterback. Sometimes you got to credit the secondary, right? So give them their credit, and we'll talk about that more in a second. But let's get into the film and kind of talk about why I'm not putting this loss on Mayfield, while I still will acknowledge, there still were some issues. So let's just get into it. So first, I want to start off just by showing some positive plays. There were some legitimately good plays from Mayfield and from this Browns offense, and we should mention those. Right here, Mayfield's going to take the snap, and what you're going to see happen here is that when Mayfield does make this throw, it's a good little zone buster. They're able to pick up some yards, though. And, again, these things where plays are working, Mayfield has had success. This one's going to be another example of that, where Mayfield throws to, again, an open player, but he's able to hit him down the field. So stuff like this is good. This is what you want to see happen for Cleveland. This one, Mayfield's going to take the snap, and he's going to do a good job of being patient, waiting until the last possible moment, which he had to do on that play to get the ball downfield. And one more, again, just to show some of the highlights. This is going to be a touchdown. It's a good throw. Maybe a little low, but really it had to be low. That's a good throw. That's where he wanted to put the ball. But okay, with that out of the way, let's get into some of the negatives. And to me, this is the biggest negative that Cleveland had against Baltimore. And it's hard to know how much of this is Cleveland bad and how much of this is just, the Ravens cover well. The Ravens secondary really showed up in this one. On this play, this is kind of a great example of what Cleveland really struggled with. And, I don't know if it's ironic or funny or what, but one of the real issues they have with their offense is they need a number one receiver, which obviously they thought they had a number one receiver. They thought they had someone who, against a cover one man play, can just win on the outside, that guy being Odell Beckham Jr. And as we all know, for, reasons that are somewhat related to football, he is no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns, and that kind of has derailed this offense a little bit. Because on this play, it's like, hey, sometimes this has to happen. Sometimes you have to win your one-on-one matchup. And in fairness, it's not a great matchup. You're going up against Marlon Humphrey here, who's a really good corner, but still, watch what's going to happen. As you see, Mayfield takes a snap, and they're just not able to get this going. And this is the key issue with their offense. And quite frankly, this is a big part of just football in general. It does, at certain points, come down to, can you win on these types of routes? And they were not able to win on this route. They just weren't. That was Donovan Peoples-Jones, who, again, I like a lot of these players, but they do kind of lack that high-end players, so when you're going up against a good secondary, makes things difficult. This play was just a bad play by Mayfield. To be honest, I didn't see that many of these. I didn't think Mayfield had a horrible game. I really didn't. From what I watched on film, I thought that this was more of a Browns offense playing poorly, or really just I think more fair to say a Ravens defense playing well, I think is the better way to phrase it. But what's going to happen on this play, I know it's already kind of started. For whatever reason, the game pass all 22 didn't start right when the ball was snapped. It had a hiccup, which happens for some reason with this new all 22 stuff, which is if you're not someone who goes on NFL Game Pass, it's horrible to wait from what it used to be. But regardless, what's happening here is it's going to be a cover 2 zone, and you have a concept designed to beat it where your two receivers who are lined up towards the bottom of the screen both kind of run deeper routes. Then a tight end can kind of get into a gap in coverage, as that'll be a little bit more cleared out towards the bottom of the screen area. Watch. So as you see, at this point, I've, circled several things. So the guy in yellow, that's where Mayfield wants to hit. He has to get it over the Ravens players, over the middle of the field, but he can't throw it too high because then he'll hit a safety. So this is kind of one of those, it looks easy from this angle, but it's actually a pretty difficult throw to make. So Mayfield missing it, it's not the end of the world, but he is going to miss it. Watch, this is just a high throw, and it ends up getting, it should have gotten intercepted, I should say. It was dropped, but it could have been intercepted. Not a great throw from Mayfield. So again, you saw a couple of that, but I didn't think anything out of the ordinary. Every quarterback misses some throws throughout the course of a football game, and I think if Mayfield was, having a good season, no one would have really brought stuff like this up. It's just because he's having the bad season that you notice the bad more, which again, it makes sense. Also, this play is, this was just funny to me. I don't think it's a big deal, but it did make me laugh, where what's going to happen is you have a receiver who's going to be running a deep route. Usually the idea is he clears out the safety and the deep corner covering the top left-hand corner of the field, which is the top right-hand corner of the screen. They both run over the middle. Then you have a tight end who can kind of run, and basically you have two tight ends on either side of the field for the offense, but they're both going to run. One's going to run into flat, and one's going to run a little bit further deep, and you just hope that, there's only one Baltimore player in the area. You have two guys. This should work. However, right when this play starts, the linebacker who was supposed to be in that area got completely fooled on the play action, eventually just says, hey, I'm not getting back into coverage. I'm going to try and hit Mayfield. Couple other things to note. So you're looking at the two tight ends where Mayfield should be looking. Both of them are completely wide open and right next to each other, which is not what you want to do. So they kind of screwed that up. So you have two wide open guys right next to each other. I think it's probably a touchdown if Mayfield hits either one of them, especially because you would now have a tight end blocking for you. It's at least a big gain. The other aspect, though, is you also do have a receiver open deep. So I understand Mayfield deciding to throw the ball deep instead. I don't think that's a horrible decision to make. Quite frankly, when you look downfield and 30 yards down the field, you have an open receiver. You can take that shot. I'm not really going to get mad at you for doing it, even though, obviously, knowing what we know, he probably should have taken the underneath stuff. But you can't see the entire field at once. You can only see what you're looking at once. Mayfield is going to take this shot deep, and again, it probably should have worked out. I mean, it was caught and then dropped. Could have been a completion and a big gain right there, but do I really think it's a big deal? Not really. I could swing it as, Mayfield making poor reads. I really don't think that this is an example of him making poor reads, although I would say there was a couple of those throughout the game where, why did you do that? You should have done that instead. But for the most part, I just think this is funny, and I wanted to show it to you. So yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. It's guys not getting open. And I didn't show a ton of those plays, but that was a lot of what I saw was just guys not getting open, guys not getting open, guys not getting open. And so Mayfield is actually still making accurate throws to guys who really don't have a great chance to make a catch, and he's slightly missing it or whatever. I don't really think that this was a Baker Mayfield issue, which I don't know if that's better or worse for Cleveland. On one hand, part of me says better. You're not going to play Baltimore secondary every single week, so you can improve and you can get better. So that's the hope, is that they will start to have some more success. But the downside is, when you play a good secondary, which you will do, I mean, if you make the playoffs, which at this point is an if, not a when, where earlier we were kind of saying when they make the playoffs. But if they make the playoffs, you're going to play some good secondaries. What are you going to do about that? So and granted, I want to be clear, I'm really just talking about this one game. Mayfield has absolutely had his struggles, and you can, critique him a lot if you want. I just found it weird that he was getting a lot of the criticism for this game when I didn't think that was fair. I think that there's a lot of blame to go around for Cleveland and a lot of credit to go around for the Baltimore Ravens. And there still was some blame to go on Mayfield, but I think people too often look for just one person to blame instead of looking for an entire, facet and several different factors that come into play, which is typically what happens when your team has a game like this where you are able to generate 4 turnovers and still can barely put up any points. So that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.